Hello and welcome to today's Delta Credit Tip. So today we're talking secured credit cards, more specifically the Capital One secured card. Pros, cons, should you get it, should you not? Well, stay tuned. We'll give you our opinion on today's Delta Credit Tip. Hello and welcome back to today's Delta Credit Tip. So today we're going to talk about the Capital One secured credit card. A lot of times when trying to build credit or reestablish credit or fix our credit, sometimes it's a little hard to qualify, and that secured credit card gives us an opportunity to start building on it. So today we're going to talk about the secured credit card from Capital One. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly. Should you get it? Should you not get it? All the pros and cons. And hopefully you'll find this information helpful. If so, give us that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every Thursday, as we come out with more information to help you in your credit restoration process, you get this information as we present it. Okay? Now, about that Capital One secured credit card. First off, let's make sure that we understand the difference between their secured card and their unsecured card. So an unsecured card is when you simply apply for the credit card and then they give you the credit card for whatever limit that they deem appropriate. Okay, that's an unsecured credit card. But a secured credit card is where you give them collateral, and that collateral is your cash. So you give them $200, they hold on to your $200, and then they give you a $200 credit card, and if you fail to pay them, they simply take the $200 that you gave them as the collateral, right? It reduces the risk that they lose money on the deal, and that's why it's so common to get, because the likelihood of getting it is higher. Not that it's 100%, but more likely, okay? So the second thing I want to talk about before we go into the pros and cons of the card is understanding where you can find the information. Now, remember, if you've watched any of our videos, you understand that I could care less what your credit score is. I care about the behaviors that lead to the score, right? That's really what credit repair is all about, is changing the behaviors. And the first behavior that we look for is that you're simply cognizant of what's going on around you financially. And typically, to find out what's going on between you and a merchant is to go with that agreement that you signed that created that financial relationship that has that financial backbone to it. Okay, so go back to that terms and agreement and you will find basically all the information you need to find. And in this particular case, it's right there online with Capital One. So I want to start off by talking about what I don't like about Capital One, right? The first thing that I don't like is that it is a secured credit card, right? I really don't like giving up money, right? Especially if they're just giving me a card that's equivalent to that. But I understand sometimes we don't have much of a choice. We either be an authorized user or we do loan builders, which I'm not a big fan of at all. Typically, that secured credit card is one of the best ways to do it. It is what it is, right? The second thing I don't really like about Capital One is the annual percentage rate. Right now, it's at 26.99%, which is prime plus 21.99. That's a high interest rate, right? Kind of anticipated that. It is a secured credit card. It is designed for people who have low credit scores or present themselves as a high risk to a lender. So of course, to compensate for their risk, they're going to charge you a higher interest rate. So it is, again, what it is. But that's one of the things that I also really like about the Capital One credit card. So let's start going into the positive things. The first thing is that they have what they call a grace period. Okay. Now, a grace period is where if you pay off what you purchased during that billing cycle in full, there's no interest. The effective rate of your interest on that card is zero because they will not charge you interest because you paid it off. It's not until you carry that balance for more than one billing cycle with the Capital One secured card that they're actually going to start charging you interest. And a lot of starter cards, as we like to call them, or secured credit cards, a lot of times they have that, hey, we're going to charge you interest, with that per diem every day from the day you swipe till the day you pay it off. And that's just not good because now you're paying interest no matter what, like you would a loan. So that's one of the great things that I like about the Capital One card is that they do offer you a grace period so that you can pay it off without any interest. The second thing is, again, on what they charge you for the card, and that is that the credit card has no annual fee. For many, many years, the Capital One credit card had a $29 annual fee. It seems that they've eliminated that, at least last I checked before this video. So that's great. So now I can actually get into the video, or get into the credit card without having to pay money for it, because that really just affects your interest rate. But you'd think at 27% basically that there'd be enough money for them, but they do charge the annual fee, or they used to charge the annual fee, which they've eliminated, which is fantastic. I love free, okay? The third thing I really like about a Capital One credit card is that the deposit that you have to make isn't necessarily equal to what they'll give you in the form of a line of credit. They can take a $49 deposit, a $99 deposit, or a $200 deposit, and the minimum credit card that they will give you is a $200 credit card, which is great. You don't necessarily have to give up the full deposit that you would be required, like for a dollar exchange. And again, that's going to be credit driven, so you never know until you apply how much they're actually going to ask you to put down. Now, one of the unique qualities about the secured credit card, which is basically the fourth characteristic that I really like about it, is that it is convertible, right? So over time, what will happen is that they will send you your deposit back. If you perform well on the card, you pay it on time, they will eventually send you your deposit back, and now that secured card now becomes an unsecured card. Why is that important? Well, one, I'm getting my money back, but two, remember, the average age of your accounts represents 15% of your credit score. So I am not likely to keep a credit card with a huge annual fee and a huge interest rate, and they're holding my collateral, right? Not a big fan of that. So, that's a great opportunity in the card to produce a long-term card that you're willing to keep in your portfolio. The fifth characteristic that I really like about it is that this particular card has another very unique feature, and that it's buildable. Okay, so let's say you start off with a $200 deposit. Well, you can send them another $200 next month, and now your limit will go from, say, $200 to $400. So you can keep building that limit. And what we have found is that the bigger the limit, the better impact it has on your score. So you're able to build that limit, right, over time. And then let's say a year now has gone by, and every month you're sending them, let's say $100 or $150 to keep building that limit. Well, now when they send you that money back at the end of a year, or however long it takes them to do it, now, first, you're going to get this huge check back. And second, now you've got a great limit on that card that can cover those financial crises that you may find as they come up. Remember, your credit card is a financial safety net. It is a tool of necessity, right? So we need to make sure that there's enough availability to cover things like plane tickets, medicine, car tires, right? Things that are emergency related. And so the ability to build that balance is phenomenal with that card. Now, the last thing that I really like about the Capital One secured credit card really isn't a characteristic of the card, but a characteristic of the company. When you go to their website and you click on that terms and agreement of the card, part of the disclosures that they give you is what you have to qualify, or what you may have that will disqualify you from the loan, right? No credit card really does that, where they spell out, okay, read this. Do you have this? Not going to get approved. Got this? Not going to get approved. Got this? Not going to get approved. So you can go down that list and know what the guidelines are up front. And if you are cognizant of what's going on around you financially, and you know your credit scores, your debt to income, your debt to credit, how many times you've applied, all these things that they care about, well, then you'll know if it's the right time for you to apply. Maybe the right card, but it might not be the right time. And that list, that bullet list that they give you in that terms and agreement, is a great opportunity for you to self-underwrite. Okay? Now, a little bit of a caveat, I have no financial relationship with Capital One. So my recommendation of this card has nothing to do with what that does to my pocket. And if I had to rate this card from a 1 to a 10, where 10 is let's go get in the line and get it, or 1, let's go shop somewhere else, it's definitely a 10. There's really not much I don't like about this card. They give more often than not the approval on it. We've had a few people decline, but it's probably because they didn't meet those criteria and they didn't read it ahead of time. But by and large, we've had great success with the card. The characteristics of the card are better than any that I've seen in the market, so I'm definitely going to give that a 10. So hopefully this information helps. If so, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so that every Thursday, again, you get this information right out of the gate, and it'll help you make a choice, make a change. Delta.